Well, welcome back to Pro Photo Insights. This is our fourth video. Again, I find myself in the middle of a field. As you see, this is my scarecrow, which I've made, which is lovely. And we're going to do a bit of a fun thing tonight. It's October, and October means Halloween, so we're going to do a bit of a fun shoot. I've got a flash inserted in the back of the pumpkin head with a radio slave trigger, and I've got one on the camera. And we're going to mix some bit of flash in with some ambient lighting. It's getting quite dark now, which is what I want. We're also may use this torch. This is the million candle torch. I've used it before in another video where we did some star photography, and I'm going to use this perhaps just to paint in a little bit the scene with the scarecrow, and just see what some nice effects we can get with that. So we've just got to wait a bit longer for the light to drop. It's now, I think, 6:30, so I reckon another half an hour and we'll be able to start shooting, and we'll see what we get. Hi and welcome back. This is Simon Plant from Prophotoinsights.net. This is our fourth episode. They come around quite quickly, and you probably would have noticed from the location video that that's improved quite a bit. As I mentioned before, we've had a few problems with the other video camera, and that has been dispatched to the bin. So that's gone, and we're hoping now to be able to purchase a new camera once we worked out what we need. In the meantime, we've borrowed one, so hopefully that will continue to improve over the next few episodes. Yeah, so this shot was done. It's October, and October means Halloween, and decided just to go out and have bit of self-indulgent fun, really. Don't always get out to shoot much for myself of late. We've been very busy with working for clients and shooting commissions and so forth, that haven't really managed to get out and have a bit of fun. So we decided this is a good opportunity. As you saw from the video, we basically lit this with a very small flash gun, which was mounted in the back of the pumpkin head and fired remotely with a Pocket Wizard wireless remote. And we also had a rather large 1 million candle torch, which we just used to paint in a bit of light here and there in the scene, and generally just had a bit of fun with it. And I think this just goes to show that you don't have to have tons and tons of expensive flash gear to use in your shots. You can basically use anything really, as long as it's powerful enough for the exposure you're using. So yeah, so we just that's purely the reason behind doing these, just fun. The exposures on these, I started off at the beginning of the evening shooting 100 ISO, and the very last frames we shot, it was very, very dark, but we shot those at 400 ISO just so we had a workable exposure range for the shot. And I basically breached the exposures. I started off with my normal exposure for the scene, which was about a quarter of a second at f/16. That's just for the early shots, and I basically did several exposures, a couple of over exposed and a couple under, just so we had a few variations to work with should we need to. Towards the end of the evening, as I said, we were using more like 30 seconds at f/8 for our last shots, and the focal length was 36mm. Didn't want to go too wide because obviously it would have made the scarecrow much smaller in shot, so 36mm was a good compromise for that. And overall, the shots took about an hour to do. Bearing in mind, I'm obviously doing video as well, so that obviously sidetracks me a little bit. But yeah, we just waited for the light to drop enough for what we wanted, and just kept shooting really and playing around. So like I said, it's good just to get out and experiment, and when you're using torches or anything like that painted with light, then it can be very unpredictable, and no two images are going to be the same really. So okay, so before we start the retouching, I'm going to pick out, well, I've already done this. I picked out another image in this sequence, and one with a slightly darker exposure for the pumpkin head. This one's fine that we've picked, but it's gone a little bit hot, a little bit slightly too light for my liking, so I want to pick out another file and perhaps comp in another pumpkin head for the scarecrow. So I've chosen this image. So all I need to do now is to basically apply the settings from this camera raw file, which we've just processed. Now I can do that in two ways. I can either go down to develop settings and copy settings, and then go and highlight the image we want, go to develop settings and then paste settings, and that basically will bring up a box and asking you which settings you want to paste in. Now I want to paste all these in, so and that does exactly what I've just explained. Really, it's copied the settings we've used to develop this image and apply them to this one. So we should get a pretty close match for the file. I am going to have to go in and maybe check the exposure for the pumpkin head, because after all, that's the bit we're concerned with, and we want quite a nicely exposed version for that. Before I do that, the other way of doing this would you can again right click and go to develop settings, and if you've just processed that one, you can just go develop settings previous conversion. That will do the same thing. So I'm going to open this one up now. Holding down my Alt key, I'm just going to check. We know all the other settings are correct, so really what we're doing now is just fine tuning it for this, just for the pumpkin head. So I'm now going to just check the exposure. Hold down my Alt key. Now I can see that it's gone a little bit hot there. I'm just going to zoom out a tad so I can see what I'm doing better. So hold down the Alt key. It's you need the highlights going on here, but that is a lot better than the other one. The recovery, I can pull the recovery slider across a little bit, but really all we're concerning with is really just the pumpkin head and the perhaps the actual body of the scarecrow down here. So I'm going to OK that, click open image, and then we can just basically select the areas we need of this image, and we can paste it in our master file. So here's our reprocessed image for the pumpkin head. All we do with this is just very simply get a selection tool, and we can just select probably a little bit bigger area than we need, and just do a copy of that. So I'm doing Command C on the Mac, and then we can close that. Don't need to save it, and then we can do a Command V to paste, and that is it. There's our new pumpkin head. All we need to do is to line that up. Here's one I did earlier. Just move that out the way, like so. Here's one I did earlier. So to line it up, basically what I do is just to drop the opacity down slightly, and then you can change the mode to difference, and that can help, or just leave it in normal mode, and then just gradually using the move tool you can move it by grabbing it with the mouse, or use the keyboard to nudge the arrows on the keyboard, just to nudge it into position. Once you do that, just you want to just select both your layers, and at the bottom here just select the link layers so that they don't get out of alignment again. And what I did then was just basically what I will do is basically need to mask this off to get the pumpkin head nicely selected. I also said I want to take the neck of the scarecrow too across, so that's what we need to do next. We need to move in and select the areas we need. Okay, so I'm on the layer with the new pumpkin head on. What I've done to save time and to not bore the hell out of you is I've already gone round and I've made a clipping path, as you see there, for the areas that I want. So all I need to do then is come down and to load that as a selection. I can then highlight my path, my layer here, and with the selection active, just click on the add mask, new layer mask icon here, and that will automatically give us a nice selection and masking off the stuff we don't need. If I turn on my background layer now, you can see the new head in place. I still need to do a little bit of work to line all this up. The other thing I will do is, at the moment, this is very sharp, the edges. So what I'm going to do is just go, make sure my layer mask is highlighted, and go to Filter, Blur, Gaussian Blur, and I'm just going to very gently just select the edges here and just blur those slightly, maybe just by 1 pixel. I think for this image, it's quite a high resolution image, and that just softens the edges slightly. I just want to do a little bit more actually, like so, and that gives us a bit of a softer edge. We don't, you don't really get pin sharp edges in images. They're always got a slight softness to them, so you need to try and be aware of that. So all I need to do now really is to make this new head fit. Now I've got two ways of doing this. I can use a transform and try and nudge it all in position, or if I'm lucky, I can perhaps just carry on masking with the layer mask and paint on that and block out the bits we don't need. So we're going to take a quick look at that next. Okay, so I've finished my mask off, well, pretty much. I decided after looking at the image we imported, I'd take away this neck area here. Reason being was that we had the lighting matched quite well, the rim lighting here, and by leaving the new neck in, we obviously lost some of that. Not a major problem, but I decided to mask that back. So this is the mask I ended up with. So it's mainly showing the new head, but leaving the old neck in place there. The other thing I'm going to show you now quickly is a little technique. By highlighting the mask, we've got a little bit of an edge showing through here, which looks a bit unnatural. I'm just going to contract the mask, and we can do this by, as I said, making sure your mask is highlighted. Go to Layer and Image Adjustment, Curves, and what we're going to do is contract the mask by darkening the mask. Now, if you keep an eye on the edges of the pumpkin head here, you can say we're just taking away some of that white fringing by basically darkening by squeezing the mask in a bit, contracting the mask, and I'm just going to show you a before and after of that. That's before, and that's after we've contracted the mask. So little tip there. It's called choking, I believe, is the right phrase that's used. So it's a good little tip to use. The next bit we've got to do is to what we could actually add a few of these highlights back in if we wanted to. We can do that by painting on the mask. But for the second, I'm going to hold it there and have a quick look over the image and show you the next step. All the retouching. Now, the next thing we need to do is to go back towards the Scarecrow and get rid of this radio trigger. Now, I probably could have hidden this with a bit more care, in the back of the pumpkin. There wasn't a lot of room. Tom got the flash in there. But to be honest with you, time was running on a little bit, plus it was a little bit precarious, this Scarecrow, and I didn't want to start messing around with it too much. So I guess it would be a lot quicker, well, not a lot quicker, but certainly a better option to retouch it out. So that's what we're going to do next. We're going to try and get rid of this radio slave out of the image. Okay, so what I'm going to do now, I'm going to merge all these four layers, including the background, into one layer, so that we can work on this image a little bit easier. So I add a new layer. I then, holding down the Alt key, choose merge visible. Now by holding down the Alt key means instead of flattening all these down together, it's going to flatten them all into this layer here. It's called a stamp. So I'm going to call that stamp so I know what it means, and then we can go in and take a closer look at this. Now I think the first thing I'm going to have to do is obviously select this area, and so we've got selection to work with, and then we can obviously use that to maybe try and drag, rather than cloning all this in bits, maybe drag a whole section of sky over. Might work, might not, but it gives us, I think, better chance of getting a good retouch. Okay, so here's our mask as we have it at the moment. I'm going to apply the layer mask to the layer so that we're just left with the layer itself. We can now zoom in a little bit and just hit the cloning stamp tool. Bit of a smaller brush. We've got the current and blow selected from the sample options. That means we can it'll sample from the layer below as well, but it'll actually clone onto our little layer at the top there. So we're just going to go in and just clear some of these little bits up like so. We're working at the moment at 600 odd %, so we're very high resolution on this. You're not really going to see this close in ever, but I figure if it looks good at this resolution, then at 100% it's going to look even better. So just going to actual pixels. So just a little bit clean up there. Now what I think we're going to do now, I really need to use probably the patch tool, so that'd be the quickest way around the rest of this. So I think we'll do that next. I'm just going to zoom in and just again with the clone tool, just clean this little bit up down the bottom here. So same again there, just to make the transition a bit better. A little bit of something there we don't want showing through. Again, I'm working at extremely close in. I think we're at 900%, which is a little bit silly, but that's the way I've always done it. And again, you can get right in there and see what's going on. So that's it. So what we'll do now, we're going to basically get another layer up. I think we'll create a blank layer there, do another stamp, so merge visible while holding down the Alt key like so. I mean, you could merge some of these layers down, a lot of people do. I prefer to leave them intact to begin with. We can always go back and flatten them a bit later, but just a way, it's personal preference, just the way I like to do stuff. Now, as I said before, when you're using these the healing brushes and patch tool, you've got to be very careful. If you go too close to the edges here, I'll show you what's going to happen. You're going to do that, try and move the selection across, and it's going to create this very nasty little bit of blurring where it's trying to blend the edges. Well, quite obviously we don't want that. So you've got to be very careful not to get too close to the edges, or if you are going to get close to the edges, you've got to have a little bit of a think about it before you commit yourself. Maybe go in and use the clone tool, or certainly select this area to protect it, so you don't go over there. So that's working out not too bad. Got a bit of a line there. So again, we'll come this side now and see if we can get a selection there. Just smooth that out again there, and this is just a bit of a quicker way rather than cloning everything. I think it's a bit of a quicker way of doing the retouching. Let's have a quick look at that. Zoom out. Yeah, still a fair bit there to work on. Let's see, can't get too close to the edge there, otherwise we're going to have problems. It's always going to be a problem where you get these transitions, highlights, to get the blend right, and it just takes a bit of work. Let's try going over this side. A better idea. Yeah, that's better. Right, and again here we get this bit right, and then the rest should be fairly easy to do. So we're getting there. So it just takes a little bit of practice and getting to know your tools and making sure that you don't clone from the wrong area. Okay, so I've persevered a bit further with the clone tool and the patch tool, and here's the before. And here's the after, so I think you'll agree that's looking pretty good. I'm pretty pleased with that. Little things like that are on the outset, and even myself, and I've been retouching now for oh god, over 10 years. You think, oh yeah, that won't be too hard to take out, and sometimes it can catch you out. And this was a little bit more difficult than I first thought it would be. I think if it had been a plain sky, we would have been a lot easier. But getting this transition here right was the tricky bit, and I'm a bit of a perfectionist, and so things like that can annoy me, can take me ages to do because I'm, like I said, pretty fussy. So I think the moral of the story is that obviously things like this, and indeed I would have, if you can hide things like this and do that extra bit within camera, it's always better to do that than to resort to retouching. But as it stands at the moment, I think it was the right decision. I was on a bit of a tight deadline, getting this shot done, and last thing I wanted was to fiddle around with this and have the whole lot fall over. I wouldn't have been happy. So that's where we are at the moment. I'm just going to zoom out so you can see how we're getting on. It's coming together. I think most of retouching now is probably complete, and now is the fun bit, as I see, where we can actually build up the image, adjust the colour, and add a little bit of selective contrast, and generally have a bit of a play around, do some of the fun stuff. So that's the next thing. We'll move on to that. Okay, to finish off the image, we're going to make some curves adjustment layers like these I've done here. These are turned off at the moment, but I'll just show you quickly how we produce those. Basically, go down to the make new adjustment layer, go to curves, if I can put my cursor on it. There we go. And basically you can actually click onto the image, and it'll show up. If you watch the box here, it'll show up different parts of the image. Now that can be quite useful, and I'll show you why that is in a minute. So what we want to do is just basically make your adjustment layer, and then click OK. What we want to do then is to fill that adjustment layer with black. The reason for that is that that's going to take away the adjustment, like so. So here's one I did earlier. Now this one is called field contrast. So basically what I've done here is I've basically clicked on the layer as so, and worked out where the field or the grass here lies on the curve, and then we can work out where I need to increase the contrast on that. As you notice there, that's not doing very much, because most of the adjustment needs to be where if you just watch the curve again, where I'm clicking on the image here, it's more in the midtones. So most of the adjustment is going to happen in that area. So what I need to do is to, first of all, get my brush tool. And what we're going to do basically is painting white on the adjustment layer to bring that adjustment through onto the field. Like so. You just notice that is now picking up. I'm not going to go through all of the field, I just want to pick out parts that I want. Now I need to go back into my curves here just to adjust this a bit more, because I'm not getting as much light in certain areas. So there we go. If I just increase the midtone there, if I just put my cursor on, we can see where all this is going on. It's more in the midtones rather than the highlights. So we need to increase the steepness of the curve in that area to get the extra contrast we require, like so. There we go, that should do me. So again, using white, we just paint in the bits we want where we want, like so. And that's with it off, that's with it on. So it's subtle, but it just brings out the draws your eye into that area. Okay, so this, again, now we've done one for the sky as well. there's the sky curve. In this one, I wanted to increase the contrast here and more in the highlights, which again were sort of more in the midtones rather than the highlights. So that's where we concentrated the curve on. So that's what we did. We're just going to paint now the adjustment in again with white. So make sure the layer mask is adjusted. I don't know why I lost my white there, but I have. Here we go. So now I can just literally go in here and just paint in the areas I want, just to lighten the sky, like so. It's subtle, but it's works. And just turn it off and on. So there you go. So as I said, it's not a great big adjustment. It's quite subtle, and we can go back in there if we wanted to now and just do a filter blur and do a Gaussian blur. We can just soften these lines a little bit, like so. Press the Alt key, brings us back off the mask. Mask on, mask off. And it just softens the sand transition. So again, it's just helping bring your eye into the areas that we want. One more I'm going to do actually is just to highlight the edge lighting on here. So again, going to curves. I'm just going to find out where I am on here. So this is quite low down the curve, so I can probably lock down the layer here and just literally increase the areas there where I want around here. So that's increasing these curve and more contrast just in this areas, which is what I want. I'll just do that. Okay, so now that has actually adjusted the whole image, so we don't want that, so we're going to fill that with black. Get the paint bucket tool. That takes the adjustment away. Make sure white's foreground. Paintbrush. I'm going to zoom in for this one, and we can now paint in again selectively the area of the coat we want, just to add a little bit more contrast there. Be careful not to go too much over in the sky. And there we go. I think that should do us. What I might do with this one is to change the blending mode from normal to luminosity. Just take that extra bit of saturation off the image. By leaving it in normal mode, when you make an adjustment layer like that, you can pick up extra colour, which I haven't bothered me in the other bit adjustments, but on here it does. So we're just going to leave that. So let me just zoom out a little bit. That's off, on, so it's just picking up the clip lighting on the edge lighting, sorry, on the Scarecrow there. So I think we're just about there. I think the only one thing I might do now before we finish is just to add one more adjustment layer, and that'll be my oops, lost me image there, just to darken the edges, sorry. So again, level adjustment layer, curves, and with this one we just literally drag it down like so. Don't matter if you're going to do it too far. We can make a selection if we like on this, just loosely to bring out, keep the selection there. And now what we can do is fill that area with black. That takes it away the adjustment, and but also leaves quite a jagged line there, but we can get rid of that. We go to filter, blur, Gaussian blur, and just rack up the radius as far as it goes. It doesn't really matter. Now there's quite a big step there in graduation, so you might want to drop the effect down by dropping the opacity down a bit. A little bit there, and then also the thing we can do is to again with black as our foreground colour and our paintbrush tool, we can just gradually, if we're not happy with where it goes from black to the edges, we can just paint it back a bit, like so. and quite often then we'll go back in and just do another filter Gaussian blur, just like so. So I think just click on the Alt key on the mask. So that's the black key is the where there's no adjustment. The white is where the adjustment's going on, and so that again just darkens the edges slightly, adds a little bit more mood, and I think that's about it. I'm pretty pleased with that. It's quite good fun, and there's quite a bit of retouching in that one. If you're watching this on one of the photo websites, you're probably watching the reduced version. This is quite a long tutorial. If you want to see the full unedited version, just go to Prophotoinsights.net. I think it's going to be our 5th video in the series, so watch out for that one, and I'll hopefully catch you next time. Have fun. Cheers.